Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Guys at Magic. This is Hunter, Steven, David, and Shane. Say what up, boys.
What's going on?
Hey, what's going on?
What's up, nerds?
We are back this time doing Commander grades from the newest set, Lord of the Rings, Tales of Middle-earth. This time we're taking a look at all the legendaries that came inside the pre-con deck, Elven Council. There's a bunch of legendaries to talk about, so let's go ahead and just dive straight in, starting with the first one, Arwen, Weaver of Hope. Arwen, Weaver of Hope is 1 and 2 green for a 2/1 legendary creature, Elf Noble. It says each other creature you control enters the battlefield with a number of additional +1/+1 counters on it, equal to Arwen, Weaver of Hope's toughness. This can get big out of control being mono green.
I don't know, it's mono green though, man. I want more colors.
It's elves.
I know, but I
I
feel like
know-
there's such stronger elves that are mono green.
I mean, this is a pretty strong elf.
There are a lot of elves in mono green.
Oh no, yeah, I'm not saying there's not elves. I'm just saying there's just very other strong elves.
David, what do you think about Arwen?
I mean, this is literally a very green card. It's a creature that cares about big creatures, and I think that it's relatively easy to bump this thing's toughness as well. I mean, there's tons of aura and equipment that have the ability to do that, so this is just going to be a big thing deck.
Well, I don't think this creature cares about big green things. It wants to make
100%.
this thing big. What?
Yeah, 100% wants to care about making this as big as
This
possible.
thing big, yeah, not other big things.
Well, I mean, okay, what I say by that is like each other creature is going to enter with those number of +1/+1, so therefore whatever else you are casting is going to be a big thing. Plus, I mean, like there's tons of elf lords as well, so like this can be huge just based off of your other creatures.
Oh, let me tell you, there are a lot of elf lords.
When I read this card, I think to myself, what could be a better elf commander? And there's a lot. So, no.
All right.
Summed it up good. All right.
Fair enough, Steven. Let's move on to the grades. What are you giving it?
I mean, I'm going to give it a C. It still does something. I'd rather this be in the 99 rather than at the helm.
This card is great in the 99. It's the C for me though.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a C as well.
Ooh,
Big things.
I actually like this quite a bit as the at the helm in an elf stack where you're already making a bunch of like lords and stuff, so I'm going to give this a B.
Well, the average grade for Arwen, Weaver of Hope, is going to be a C. Next up is Cirdan the Shipwright. It is 3, a green and a blue for a 3/4 legendary creature elf noble. It has Vigilance. It also has Secret Council, which means whenever Cirdan the Shipwright enters the battlefield or attacks, each player secretly votes for a player. Then those votes are revealed. Each player draws a card for each vote they received. Each player who received no votes may put a permanent card from their hand onto the battlefield. Shane, what do you think of this card?
This is a very tricky card to play with, let me tell you right now. Because in our game, this card came up. And it seems good because I like the fact that it happens on ETB and on attack, so it won't just be the one-time effect. But then you really, really have to think. Because, like, do you want your opponents to draw cards? Or I guess you could vote for yourself. But I think the way I played it is I wanted to be able to drop a card. So I was voting for someone else, so they were going to draw a card. And just praying that no one was voting for me. I don't know, it's a lot of shenanigans. And I guess it could be fun, but it's a lot of shenanigans.
It's definitely a lot of shenanigans. This would be a lot of fun. Do some crazy things. Really hoping people don't vote for you. They just vote for other people. However, the downside is that can happen with your opponents too, and you're basically giving them free permanents to play, which that would suck if it's giant.
Yeah, or we can all vote for one person and say David draws 3 cards.
And then 3 people get to play a thing for free.
Yeah, it's shenanigans.
Politics.
I mean, I look at it like this. If you enjoy playing decks where you give your opponents things to kill you, this is a great commander.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah, that's my thoughts.
I think this card's really fun. I love the voting mechanic on pretty much all, like every card that is played in Magic for the most part. Shane, in the game that we were playing, the synergies you had with different cards voting, I think was really cool. I think this is actually pretty interesting.
Yeah, fun card.
Let's move on to the grades. The downfall for me is giving my opponents free stuff. I don't like doing that. So I'm going to give this a D.
I'm still gonna give it a C because it was fun, but not just the free cards, but also the possibility of a free card from hand. So yeah, but fun C.
I'm going to give
Yeah.
this an F. I think at worst case scenario, you just hope your opponent win the game. And
Wow.
that's a very real possibility with this card.
Oh well, probably being one of the only people that was kind of positive on this card, I'm actually gonna give this card a D.
All right.
All
Well,
right.
Cirdan the Shipwright gets an average grade of a D. Next up, Arrestor of the Council. 1, a green and a blue for a 2/4 legendary creature elf noble. It says whenever players finish voting, each opponent who voted for a choice you voted for creates a treasure token. You scry X, where X is the number of opponents who voted for the choice you didn't vote for. Draw a card. So
All
we
right.
have a voting commander.
Yeah, but see now this one I don't like because it doesn't activate it itself. So now you have to. Obviously, you're building around this as like a voting deck, but like if you say don't have a voting card in your hand, your commander's a 2/4. I don't know. I didn't like this card in play very much.
Yeah, it's not ideal.
I love this card in play because it gave me a treasure.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're helping opponents who vote with you. Where, I mean, how often are they not going to vote with you? Kind of rare. I'll always take a treasure. Like it's a weird card, man. Dave, what do you
I
think?
mean, it does.
So-
Oh, sorry.
It's a 3-mana 2/4 with some flavor text on it.
Yeah. I was gonna say it incentivizes you if you're using, say, Galadriel. So if you want to get like the ring to tempt you, that's cool. But other than that, I didn't like it.
Let's move on to the grades. David, what are you giving it?
This is an F. This is a card that literally does nothing without a massive amount of support, and those cards are generally not good. So this is an F.
Yeah, this is an F.
Yeah, this is an F.
Yeah, well, it's also one of the people that talked highly about this card. It gave me a treasure. It gets a D.
All right, Rest of the Council is going to get an average grade of an F. Moving on to Elrond of the White Council. This is 3, a green and a blue for a 3/3 legendary creature elf noble. It has Secret Council, which means when Elrond of the White Council enters the battlefield, each player secretly votes for fellowship or aid. Then those votes are revealed. For each fellowship vote, the voter chooses a creature they control. You gain control of each creature chosen this way, and they gain this creature can't attack its owner. Then for each aid vote, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Another weird voting card.
It's gonna be a no for me, dog.
This one's not weird at all. This one's great.
It's not that great. It happens one time unless you flicker it, or it dies.
You're either giving your opponent one of your creatures, or you're giving your opponent bigger creatures. It's pretty interesting.
I think this is probably my favorite out of all of the voting cards.
I'm not
Same.
surprised because this card is trash.
I strongly disagree with you there. I mean, a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control, and depending on how your opponents vote, that could be 3 +1/+1 counters on all of your creatures. That's a huge board state. And if they don't, you take their things.
Can't attack them though.
I mean,
this
it
happens
could
once.
technically be 4 +1/+1s, right? Because you count yourself.
You do count yourself. I apologize. And then, like what Shane said, I mean, this is in blue, which is very easy to make this just kind of bounce itself.
Mm,
I mean, really, the only shitty thing about this card is if they choose fellowship, they get to choose what they give you. But at the end of the day, I mean, you're getting all those +1/+1 counters, so it's not like you were in a color combo to ramp your tiny little heart out. So I don't really care that this costs 5 off the rip. You're also can just do elf tribal. This card's great.
The only downfall on this card is that it's only on ETB. I know you can blink this a couple times, but once that runs out, it's going to be tough.
What do you mean by once that runs out?
I mean, we're
what
in
is the
blue,
other
right?
things that are letting you blink?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
you can't blink it no more, and you're done.
Why would you reach a point where you can't blink it anymore?
I'm saying if we're gonna deal with the cards that are blanking it, we can see what the threat is. Boom. Done.
I mean, I guess sure, but I look at it like there are permanents that blink other permanents. There are instant and sorcery spells that I can be casting to blink as well. Like, I don't think I'm going to run out of blinks.
In blue?
Yeah.
I know there's bounce effects, but blink
Well,
is normally mostly white.
I mean, I feel like it's what, white blue?
It's
Because
mostly
Whenever I
white.
think of like abusing ETBs, white blue is the color combination I immediately think of.
right,
Yeah,
it's the
blue
white.
more bounces.
I mean, you could drop what's the Thassa that's an indestructible enchantment that does this every turn for free?
Toss of Deep Dwelling.
There you go.
It's funny because it's in Steven's deck.
I mean, so there you go. That's an indestructible, like really difficult to get rid of enchantment. That's going to do that for free every turn.
Yeah, I get that.
Like Conjurer's Closet would be another example of one that you can get into play relatively easily and like just abuse this thing over and over and over again.
It's true.
I'm high on this card, man.
I'm pretty high on this card too. There's going to reach a point pretty quickly where your opponents are going to look at it and just be like, "Well, I don't have a board state because whoever's playing Elrond just took all of it."
Well, let's move on to the grades then. If you guys are high on it, I'm going to start and I'm going to give it a C. I think it's middle of the road.
Yeah, I'm in middle of the road C.
I'm going to get this thing a B.
Yeah. I was thinking B. No, it's not A. It's definitely not an A. Yeah, I'll give this a B.
Well, Elrond of the White Council gets an average grade of a B. Moving on to the face commander herself, this is Galadriel, Elven-Queen. It is 2, a green and a blue for a 4/5 legendary creature elf noble. It has Will of the Council, which means at the beginning of combat on your turn, if another elf enters the battlefield under your control this turn, starting with you, each player votes for Dominion or Guidance. If Dominion gets more votes, the ring tempts you. Then you put a +1/+1 counter on your ring bearer. If Guidance gets more votes or the vote is tied, draw a card. Shane, we'll start with you. You had the opportunity to build this deck. Also, before we get into it, check the description where you'll find links to the $100 and $300 upgrade to this deck tech that Shane had the opportunity to make. Shane, what do we think?
I mean, she was pretty good. I like the fact that I can draw a card most likely. When we were playing it, just I mean, not like a spoiler, but the ring only tempted me like maybe once. David's deck definitely got tempted a lot more. So I wasn't really consistently getting the counters and or being tempted. But I guess there's no real way to flop on this card, so you can at least draw a card. And this deck kind of just basically cares about elves, right? So you're just going to be playing elves. And I felt like it wasn't difficult to play one before combat. And you don't have to even attack with her, which is nice. So you don't have to put her in a position where she might die to get that ability, which was cool. Yeah, I don't know. That 4 mana, 4/5. I think she's fun.
This card reminds me a lot of Rashmi and Ragavan, where it's like it's a mid-rangey like wannabe engine, but it doesn't actually engine very well. I will give this one the benefit of the doubt though that like 4 mana for a 4/5 isn't awful stats, but the Will of the Council effect here is like for a voting-based commander, I don't actually care what we're voting for because I'm not really afraid of you getting either of these ever.
Yeah, I think that's where I'm at too. Is like, oh, okay, cool. If this one gets more votes, your ring bearer gets a +1/+1, then that's it. And then if the vote's the other way or tied, you draw a card. Like, I don't know, man. I just the best part about this card is the 4/5, and that's what I don't like to say.
Yeah, I don't think it's very powerful at all. The ring tempts you. I feel like we still need to see how that goes a little more. The ring tempting. See if having the ring is going to be as effective as we hope it is. And then maybe people will vote more to give you card draw. And that's what you're kind of hoping for. So 2 pluses at least. Nothing is really too bad, but the pluses are just a little too minimum in my opinion. Moving on to the grades. Shane, what did you go with Galadriel?
I think she's middle of the road for me. I'm going to just give her a C.
I'm going to give her a D. I don't think she's very good.
Yeah, I'm gonna join you right there, buddy.
I'm actually going to give this an F because this has the potential to do nothing.
Galadriel is going to get an average grade of a D. Next up, everybody's favorite wizard. This is Gandalf, Westward Voyager. It's 3, a green and a blue, for a 5/5 legendary creature avatar wizard. It says whenever you cast a spell with mana value 5 or greater, each opponent reveals the top card of their library. If any of those cards shares a card type with that spell, copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy, and each opponent draws a card. Otherwise, you draw a card.
So this is hoping you don't you don't match the spell type.
Yeah, you're gonna be sad when you see 3 lands.
Very.
David, I want to hear your opinion because I know how much you love randomness.
So, I mean, okay, you're not necessarily hoping that they don't have the same because, like, there is an additional benefit here. Like, if any of those cards share a card type with that spell, copy that spell. So, like, that works for creatures. It works for enchantments and artifacts and, like, any permanent.
They're just gonna draw it.
Yeah, that's fine, but you're going to get a copy of whatever that was.
Oh, that's true. I know. Free spells are good.
I mean, look, I'm not trying to, like, say that this card is amazing by any means. It's kind of expensive. I guess it's got okay stats. It doesn't do actually literally anything on its own and requires that you be casting really big things. But it does have the ability to do something.
Yeah, but that's something that's not even that great, man. Like, I'm sorry. I know you don't like this card. I don't know why I said that as if you like this card. My apologies. But like 5 mana for a 5/5 that the turn it comes down will not do anything. You have to wait till your next turn. And then when you do cast that spell of 5 mana or greater, there's a possibility you're just gonna get a wonky card. And if you do, you get to copy it. And then every single one of your opponents gets to draw a card. Like I hate this.
Yeah, for you to cast something with 5 mana or greater, just to see, for example, if you cast a creature with 5 mana or greater, you're casting something large, and an opponent flips over just a little 1 mana 1/1. That sucks. Congratulations, you got a little 1/1.
Well, and you're
I don't
probably gonna not have a thing that really cares about your deck, right? So, and you're gonna give that opponent a card that they care about in their deck. So you're gonna
You know
copy
what?
something you don't care about.
Now that I think about it, David, what's that one card that I think you played it in a pre-con upgrade one time where it allowed you every opponent everyone got to see the top card of their library.
It was like a lantern.
Lantern of Insight.
Yeah. That card with this would be nuts.
I think that card with this, I don't know. I don't think it would be nuts. I think it would be absolutely just kind of okayish.
It allows you to know what you want to play.
Yeah,
I mean,
like you get the knowledge.
Yeah, you get the knowledge,
You get
but
the
you can't
insight.
guarantee. Yeah, I don't know. The
You
insight.
can't guarantee. You're
You can't-
absolutely guaranteeing.
You're guaranteeing at least one opponent, right?
Yeah, I mean, you get to see the top 3 of like you're not going to play like a really great creature, or you might, but like if like Shane had a really cool creature on the top card of his library, and I knew I wanted to copy that spell, I'm going to play a creature card, and then I'm going to copy that card, and I'm going to get it for myself, and then everyone's going to draw a card.
Well, it's Magical Christmas Land with just that one other card that's allowing you to see things. So, on its own, you've already said it, Steven, it's not that great. Let's move on to the grades, and we will start with David.
And it can kind of do things sometimes, so I'm going to give it a D.
I am going to give this a D as well. I don't like this card very much.
Me too. D.
Yeah, I'm giving Gandalf a D as well. The average grade for Gandalf Westward Voyager is going to be a D. Next up, Haldir Lorien Lieutenant. It is X and a green for a 0/0 legendary creature elf soldier. It says it enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it. It also has vigilance and another ability we can pay 5 in green until end of turn. Other elves you control gain vigilance and get +1/+1 for each +1/+1 counter on Haldir. Cool effect, expensive effect.
Super expensive. So you're gonna probably play this for a lot, right? Might make it big. You gotta play more.
Yeah.
But you're in green, so you're probably ramping up the wazoo, dude.
And you're playing elves, which make a ton of mana.
That's true. They're dorks.
Yeah, I really like this card.
It is very fragile, and that's the part that kind of scares me, is that like all of your opponents are going to see that you have a board state and a way to pump this. So are they actually going to let you like go to combat?
I
I
mean,
don't know.
I don't care if they do. I think that this is a really cool card. I think at the helm of an elf deck, or I mean, just in the 99 of an elf deck. This card is great.
It kind of reminds me of like Azuri, where it's like it's another like massive come out of nowhere big pump style effect, but I don't know. I just don't know really where to go with this card because I do feel like this is so telegraphed and going to be such a massive hate generator that you're going to spend a ton of mana and you're going to sink it into this, and that's totally fine in an elf deck because you can afford to do it. But then your opponent's just going to kill it, and then you're going to spend your next turn sinking a ton of mana into this again.
It's the name of the game.
Is it
Green,
telegraphed
right?
or is it coming out of nowhere?
I don't think that it is coming out of nowhere because like I look at it like this. I mean, yes, you can just pump like instant speed, but at the same time, all of your opponents are going to know that that is the game plan you want to do.
I was just asking you to clarify.
Plus, like it's the number of +1/+1 counters on it. So if you're not actually casting this thing for a ton of mana, I mean, I guess there's other ways for you to put +1/+1 counters on it, but I feel like that's relatively slow and doesn't really feed into a lot of what elves want to do.
Dude, just proliferate mono green.
I mean, you can. It's very much an option. And there are tons of ways to be able to put +1/+1 counters on in green.
There's also things like Doubling Season and Vorinclex.
Ooh.
Those being some of the ways, yeah.
Let's move on to the grades. I'm going to go Haldir, middle of the road, C.
I'm also going to go middle of the road on this card. I think this one is a C as well.
I'm gonna middle road too. See.
I am at the very top of the road, and I know this is going to be crazy, but I'm going to give this card an A.
Brother. Well, Haldir gets the average grade of a B.
Bringing us up, baby.
Going to Orlando Bloom. This is Legolas Greenleaf. 2 and a green for a 2/2 legendary creature, Elf Archer. Got reach. It says it can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. And whenever another legendary creature enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on Legolas Greenleaf. And when Legolas Greenleaf deals combat damage to a player, draw a card.
And those are a lot of good abilities, right? Yeah.
A lot of stuff going on. That
Does that make it good
sucks.
together? Yeah, I don't know.
We just talked about putting +1/+1 counters on.
No, yeah.
And we can double up those +1/+1 counters. And you got to have
Make
a
'em-
lot of legendary creatures to make this go bigger and bigger and bigger. And then hope that your opponent's creatures are power 2 or less to get it unblockable.
Hope we're playing against tokens.
Well, my mom told me if I have nothing nice to say.
All right. I'll go ahead and think about this because I feel like this actually kind of occupies the same lane as the last card we talked about. It's a mono green thing that wants to be really big so it can get in for combat damage. Given that that one spreads to love quite a bit better, but still. The not being able to be blocked by power 2 or less, I feel like is actually somewhat relevant. But that means that if your opponents are going to block it, they can't necessarily just like chump. So token decks are completely screwed there. The reach aspect of this, I don't really care about. The legendary creature card putting the +1/+1 counter on it is kind of funky. I guess there are ways that you could take advantage, like to it. There are ways that you can abuse that. So like you can do like Team or Sabretooth to just like continuously, I guess, I don't know, get your legendary creatures back to ETB again. I don't know. He's okay. He's just not great.
I'm on board with the okay train too. Trying one
I
card
think we all are.
on combat damage is not enough.
It is, but it is okay.
But it is okay. So, okay, let's move on to the grades. David?
I'm going to give it a D.
Yeah, I'm going to give this a D as well. It does something, but it doesn't. I hate it.
I'm going to give him a C.
Yeah, I was gonna go C.
Legolas Greenleaf, average grade here. It's going to be a C. And the final card from the Elven Council deck that is legendary is Radagast, Wizard of Wilds. It is 2, a green and a blue for a 3/5 legendary creature avatar wizard. It has Ward 1, and beasts and birds you control have Ward 1. And whenever you cast a spell with mana value 5 or greater, choose 1. Create a 3/3 green bird beast creature token, or create a 2/2 blue bird creature token with flying. Weird include in the elf deck, but here we are.
Super weird, dude.
I don't think it's weird at all.
Okay.
So, like, the sub theme of the voting deck is that it also cares about elves and really expensive things. Which this cares about really expensive things. Like, if you looked at all the legendary creatures we just talked about, a ton of them cost 5 or more. So I think this kind of fits in at home.
There were like 5 in the precon.
There's 3 other legendaries.
Yeah, but I mean, like, that's just like those are just the cards that we talked about. My
Right.
point here being is like, this is just like it cares about the big mana value, and I feel like that deck had a ton.
Yeah, so it's really interesting because, like, obviously when we do these grade videos, we're talking about this card being at the helm of a deck. And when I see this card, I don't see it at the helm of any deck. I see it as part of the 99 of Thanos, the toy maker.
It's also another Beast and Birds, which is a good card.
Mm-hmm. Super. I mean, the synergy there is nuts.
Beast and Bird
But-
tribal, baby.
Yeah, I mean, this cares about casting big things, and Simic is known for its big baddie spells. The Ward 1 is whatever. I mean, I feel like with the sets recently, the Ward has been getting better and better. Now this is almost getting like a little vanilla, which is kind of weird to say. But yeah.
I think it's a cool card.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the grades. Steven, what are you giving it?
I'm going to give this a good old C. I think as the commander, it could be fun. I automatically go to Thanos, and I think that's what's stopping me from giving this a higher grade.
I'm going to join you there. I'm giving this a C.
Yeah, I'm on the C train, boys.
C train.
Well, Radagast gets the average grade of a C. And that is going to do it for this video. That is all the legendary creatures that are brand new from the Elven Council deck from Lord of the Rings, Tales of Middle-earth. Comment down below if you agreed with any of our grades. Maybe you didn't agree with any of our grades. Let us know as well. Check the description where you're going to find links to our Instagram, our Twitter, and our TikTok. That's at Guys at Magic for each one. Follow us on there. Keep up to date with all the other things that we're doing. Don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. What are you waiting for? Click subscribe. Stay up to date with all of our videos. And until the next video, hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Peace.
Later.
Goodbye.
That was way too cute.